The area is not routinely used for any other human activity, such as shipping or fishing. In fact, the nearest humans are often a very different kind of explorer, astronauts aboard the International Space Station. But there is another link between the icy, empty waters of this desolate place and the void of space besides the ISS. It's famous as the center of a spacecraft cemetery, an expansive, scattered rubbish dump for obsolete items in Earth's orbit. This oceanic dump is thought to have received part of a SpaceX capsule rocket.
As India-Canada relations strained in the wake of allegations by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau against India, there is another major problem that is plaguing Indian students here: lack of job opportunities. Indian students arrived in Canada to pursue higher education, making India the top source country of new international students entering the North American nation last year, data suggests. Several Indian students around the Greater Toronto area echoed a similar sentiment. Mayank is pursuing a course in health services at an institute in the Greater Toronto area.
It is important to note that untouchability is not the only way in which casteism works. If you read the news, you might have seen articles about helpers, delivery services workers, plumbers, and physical laborers not being allowed to use the same elevators as the residents in a high-rise apartment complex in a posh neighborhood. Reservation is the favorite weapon of caste-blind people in this country, used to attack those from marginalized communities in institutions of higher education. After the recent suicides of Dalit students from certain IITs.
Those who oppose the system of reservation believe that it undermines the importance of intelligence and, therefore, shouldn't exist. One aspect such people do not really understand is the concept of intelligence. Intelligence is not limited to a person's cognitive abilities, but also includes other dimensions such as language usage, spatial awareness, understanding emotions, thoughts and feelings, and so on. This has been studied and propounded by the American psychologist Howard Gardner.
College graduates tend to have better career and financial outcomes. In 2022, they earned 75% more on average than their high school alone educated peers, according to the San Francisco Fed, and had an unemployment rate of 2%, compared with 7% among high school graduates, according to the National Center for Education Statistics. But there are drawbacks, most notably, a student debt crisis that has left millions of Americans collectively owing over $1 trillion for their education. So it can be increasingly difficult to determine if a college education is worth it.
With the statistical outcomes for college graduates so strong, it can be jarring for parents to face a child who tells them they don't want to go. Making the decision for your child probably won't go over too smoothly. It really depends on how career-minded you are, how much career diversity you want, how much vocational resilience you want to build into your work life. But Davis is also a clinical psychologist with years of experience lecturing on building resiliency, community and self-awareness. It's definitely possible to find career and financial success without degree.
Pixel devices have also been performing well in other Asian regions, such as Japan, where they have reportedly taken market share from Apple. According to Counterpoint, as reported by Bloomberg, Google Pixel devices now hold 12% of the smartphone market in Japan. Additionally, reports suggest that most of the thermal issues related to its Tensor chipsets have been resolved with the Pixel 8 series. With Google committing to 7 years of OS updates, this may create further incentive for people to start buying Pixel devices.
Blockchain is revolutionizing sectors, enabling transparency in supply chains, secure voting, enabling trustworthy digital identities, and shaping a secure future. With the surge in cyber threats and stricter data privacy regulations, blockchain stands as a transparent solution, especially for challenging use cases that are traditionally hard to safeguard with conventional infrastructures. Stepping back for a moment, let's consider the fundamental role of government, rule creation and enforcement. Once assets are digitized,
Policy neglect, uncertain job market, and increased contractualization are making labor's economic condition worse. Inflation is negating purchasing power too. The single-minded focus on jobs in India's public discourse is leading to a dangerous neglect of wage exploitation. Wage poverty and its consequences never become enough of an issue for the Indian political class and policymakers. Political parties are promising to provide employment, welfare schemes for gig workers, and to restore the old pension scam. But there's no dialogue on improving wages for laborers.
The sudden onset of a pandemic, homeschooling duties, and looking after her elderly parents coinciding with the most hectic phase of her career meant that Sala was almost driven to the point of collapse. Need for continuous professional development, innovation, opportunities outside her role to progress her career and other social aspects of keeping up with colleague and client relationships. Today, it isn't an uncommon sight for her to be found tapping away furiously at her laptop in the parking lot of her kids' extracurricular activities or listening to a lecture.